So, welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Today, I've come to the site of my local ham repeater. So if you don't know what a repeater is, guys, it allows you to use little hand portable radios like this and also mobile radios in cars to cover massive areas. So effectively how it works, you transmit and then your voice is broadcast from this massive tower. One of these antennas up here will be the one for the repeater. I'm pretty sure that's the antenna array for the repeater right there. And then there's the building there which will have all the electronics for the repeater and the mobile phone cell infrastructure. So it's a fantastic way for using cheap little radios like this to talk massive distances, or expensive radios like that one. But they both really do the same thing. You're just relaying your signal through that massive tower. And this is already pretty high ground up here, but with the added height of that tower, your signal is going to go a long way. Mike 6 Juliet Kilo Alpha listening. It's cool, isn't it? And to think that's set up by other hobbyists, like other ham radio guys, it's really, really cool. Obviously that mast is predominantly a mobile phone mast, but you can sort of see the elevation. Look, we are quite high up here. So I'm in the town now, a few miles away from the repeater. I'm just going to pick up a bit of charge for the little Twizy here. But yeah, look, I'm still picking up the signal from the repeater. That was good timing. So that's its ident. It will do that every sort of 10-15 minutes. You can see the signal is absolutely full. And we're inside a car, just using that little ham radio. So guys, now I'm back at HQ, and look, can still pick up the repeater and still get into the repeater from indoors 15 miles away. I think it's about 15, might be more. So yeah, it's exactly 15 miles away from here. Some of you might have noticed the mistake I made. I've actually called it GB7VH. That's the call sign of the repeater. It's actually GB3VH. So apologies for that. I'm not going to reshoot the video because that's the joys of daily videos. So if we look on this website here, ukrepeater.net, we can find information about this repeater and all the other repeaters, the ham repeaters in the UK. So we can see here GB3VH, it's on the 70 centimetre band, which is, you know, the 430 to 440 allocation. It shows you how to access this repeater by using a CTSS tone. All radios generally now have this feature, so you won't be able to access it. The antenna height above ground level, 30 metres. The power output and all the other information there. And then you come down to this section here, and this shows you the range. So this shows you a prediction of, you know, where this repeater will actually cover. So you can see it covers a pretty big area. Welwyn Garden City, right out to Luton and almost to Bedford. And then out the other way, you're sort of getting, you know, Great Dunmow and Chipping-Ongar, Waltham Abbey there. Sort of the outskirts of London there as well. So it's an absolutely brilliant system. I mean, this has been around for years, like the commercial radios use it, you know, the police used to even use a system like this, you know, before it went digital. There are digital repeaters as well for ham use. We'll go into that on another day. So yeah, that is the best way to cover massive distances with low power, small radios. Or you just go to a really high location and stick up a mast with a collinear on the top of it. And actually a lot of these repeaters are only running about 10 watts as well. So you could easily get that sort of coverage if you get your antenna up as high as it is on that mast. Maybe stick it on a drone. There's an idea. And if you get yourself a ham license, any ham license, the basic one will do, you'll be able to use these repeaters up and down the country. And there is pretty much continuous coverage across the country of these repeaters. It's pretty amazing. Actually, places where I can't get a mobile phone signal, I can literally use this radio. It's just mad, really. Now, as I mentioned before, a lot of these repeaters are run by people in the hobby. Obviously, it takes money to actually keep these things going. Like, you've got to possibly have an internet connection to do remote shutdowns. But yeah, it costs money to have antennas on, you know, kind of private masts, which are mostly used by telecommunications companies. So it is important to support your local groups. Like, you know, if you become a ham, you know, find out how you can contribute to keep that repeater running if you're using it a lot. Right, there is another way you can increase the performance of your handheld radio, and that is by tuning your antenna, making sure your antenna is perfectly tuned to your radio for the frequency that you want to operate on. You know, all too often we just screw an antenna on the top of the radio and just expect it to work. But how do you know it's actually any good? Now, you can use antenna analyzers, which are cool. but you are actually using the antenna on the radio, not the analyzer, so it would make sense to actually test it on the radio. So this is an SWR meter. Normally you see these on the lower frequencies, but this is one for high frequencies like VHF and UHF. Now this measures power output, and it also measures reflected power back into the radio. If your antenna isn't suitable for the radio, it will reflect power back into the radio, and then the radio will just reduce its output. So you'll end up with like no power really coming out, and your antenna won't be resonant, so it will just be like, you know, having a wet string as an antenna. So let's try and demonstrate. So I've got a telescopic antenna here, which you can use to adjust and tune by basically just pulling out sections or sliding it back. So you can actually tune the antenna perfectly by using something like this. So I've just reset this. I'm using VHF because it's a bit easier. If I transmit now, you'll see we've got 19.99 SWR, which is terrible. The radio is putting in 4 watts, so it's not too bad. But yeah, we're not getting any power out, and this antenna is not going to be resonant at that frequency, so it's just not going to work. So watch what happens if we kind of extend this antenna out a little bit, give it a little bit of height there, and then we try it again. Look at that, perfect. I've managed to get that perfectly in the right place. I'll put it down a little bit and I'll show you. So you can see as you're extending this antenna, it's affecting that SWR, so just move it out a little bit more. And what you're trying to do is get it down to like 1:1. So I'll just extend it a bit more. That's such a fluke that I managed to do that first time. It's 2.3, and then just sort of extending it a little bit more. 1.2, so we'd be able to get it obviously down a bit further than that. There you go, 1. What you will see is it's showing slightly less power than it was before, but it's 99%. So I think that means 99% efficient, I would have said. There's no reflected power coming back in. Basically all the power that you're putting into this is going out to that antenna. So that is tuned now for the frequency that we're operating on, which is 145/400. So all I'm trying to get at here really with this little experiment is, if you want to optimize your antenna that you're using on the radio, you need to check SWR, you need to check, you know, how much power is being reflected back into the radio, all that sort of stuff. So that is a good way to optimize your system and potentially get out further. Lots of things come into play with this, like with handheld radios, there's no ground plane or anything like that. You become kind of the ground plane. If you're using a microphone plugged into the side of it, that becomes part of like a kind of counterpoise. So all of this will affect it. But hey, it's radio, it's unpredictable, it's going to be different every time, and that's part of the fun of it, I guess. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments down below as well. I read every single one of them. I'll catch you later. Oh yeah, and one final thing. Rumour has it that Ringway Manchester has been seen frequenting the darker areas of Shoreditch, looking for erections. Antenna erections.